It just hit me today, and I don't think anybody has put this together. If they have, I haven't seen it. What Wolf is saying, what is one of the big claims in this Wolf book? And that is that Trump never wanted to be president, right? Never expected to win. Did not want to win. Melania Trump was in tears on election night after they won. Okay, fine. Then why was Trump colluding with the Russians to tilt the election against Hillary? If he didn't want to win, what the hell was he colluding with anybody for to try to win? Now, this Wolf book, people don't know this. This Wolf book was supposed to be about the first 100 days, and it was supposed to have been out long before now. That Donald Trump didn't want to win and can't put that book out right smack dab in all of that stuff last year about Trump colluding. I mean, think about all of a year's worth of stories in the New York Times, the Washington Post, CNN, with all these deep state people leaking and claiming things. There was never any evidence, but all of these leaks and all the claims in the Mueller investigation, the firing of Comey, all this stuff, if this book had come out and they were expected to win, you want to undercut the Russia investigation, that's what you would do. Now the Russia investigation's kind of gone by the wayside. Now they're looking at... And that could be why Wolf waited to come out with this. Well, remember, it was supposed to be about Trump's first 100 days, but he waited until Trump had completed 200 days in office. I mean, it turned in the manuscript and all. They suspect he was really waiting for the collusion narrative to collapse so that he wouldn't be attacked for undermining it, because he clearly would have undermined the whole thing. If this book had come out 6 months ago, think of that. If this book had come out September, I mean, it would have undermined everything they were using at that point to get rid of Trump. That angle isn't working because now the entire focus is once again back to Trump being insane and unfit and unstable, which is also not new. It's something they have routinely used about every Republican president in our lifetimes. For the weekend that I mentioned in this thing. It's not a big mention, but it's totally false. And I'm not a single word in this reference that is anywhere near the truth. Grab audio soundbite number 11. The guy who read the book live, I can't believe, if you're going to write a book, then do the audio version yourself. As read by, and then pick your favorite name. Why wouldn't Wolf read his own book? Well, it's hard. Yeah, it is hard. It takes weeks. Mistaking. Minor point. The narrator of the Wolf. Oh, do you know where Wolf went when he went to the White House? His headquarters was Bannon's office. According to Maggie Haberman of the New York Times, Wolf's. You know, I have a question before I get to this soundbite. Happened here. I saw a piece where somebody mentioned David Stockman and now Bannon, and they're not the only two, but here's the thing.
Win on the same platform as Obama used, which is on sort of racism or reverse racism and the whole Jim Crow garbage all over again. There's skeletons in her closet as well, and I may be the first in the media to have something for Winfrey in 2013 saying that racists have to die in order for racism to end.
As long as people can be judged by the color of their skin, the problem's not solved. As long as there are people who still, and there's a whole generation, I say this, I said this, for apartheid South Africa, I said this for my own, community in the South. There are still generations of people, older people, who were born and bred and marinated in it, and they just have to die.
That's nice, Oprah. You're a very kind woman. And I'm sure that this soundbite will be used on a repeated basis to show the world what a kind woman you really are underneath that guise of kindness, as they have done numerous times. So older people who are born and bred and marinated in it I would think she's an older person herself who was born and bred and marinated in hatred. We'll have to answer to those who say, what do you mean by that, Miss Winfrey? What do you mean racists have to die for racism to end, Miss Winfrey? Are you suggesting that the government seek them out, put them in concentration camps? You're not suggesting that, are you? Oh, no. I'm just saying in the Bay Area, thank God it's finally raining in San Francisco. And I've only run to 3 radio studios today after a meeting for an hour with a real investigative reporter who will have, it sounds like hype and build-up. I will tell you right now, you've never heard anything like what you're going to hear on this show. That's assuming that I heard it this morning in my house. I had only 30 minutes. This man came all the way from the East Coast just to play this for me. He wouldn't play it on the telephone. It goes all the way up to the White House. And what some have been doing to undermine our democracy in ways that even liberals will find shocking. Join.
U.S. Yeah, I saw that. It's from the. I don't even know if it's from the Wolf Book or some story that Trump is working not nearly as hard now as he did the first 6 months. That he doesn't show up at the Oval Office till 11 a.m. That from 8 a.m. until 11 a.m. in the residence, he's watching TV and reading and all this other stuff and doesn't show up to work until I work my butt off sitting on it. The idea that you have to be in the Oval Office, and by the way, watching TV, sad to say, is part of the job. Something here I think is ironic. Anybody and everybody who thinks they're somebody has some kind of a spot on cable news, right? You have infobabes. You have reporters and reporterettes. You have strategists. You have analysts. You have hosts. You have guests. You have panelists. You have weather people. You have business people. You have stock people. And there are multiple networks where all this happens. You have Fox News. You have CNN. You have CNN Headline News. You have CNN International. You have MSNBC. You have CNBC. You have Fox Business Network. And then some of the lesser knowns are cable news is all over the place. Is it work there? Do they not? Such as F. Chuck Todd, who hosts Defeat the Press, and what's her name? Andrea Mitchell, NBC News in Washington. She has her own show on MSNBC. Well, you can name them. You got Anderson Cooper in there. You have all these people who think that their excrement doesn't stink. What sense does it make for them to say the fact that Donald Trump watches Fox News proves he's an idiot? Stupidity and unseriousness to watch cable news when some of the most serious journalists in the world live and work there. Is it possible to watch too much cable news? If so, why? Is it not worth that investment? Really not that important? And if the President of the United States watches it, it proves that he's some sort of a low-rent idiot? The drive-by media tries to tell us that Donald Trump's a lame brain because he watches cable news. And because tell us. Are you telling me the President of the United States can't rely on what he sees on cable news to be factual and true? Intelligence brief every day. Trump should be getting his information from his cabinet. Trump should be getting information from his senior staff, the chief of staff, and the NSA, not cable news.
Coach Nick Saban is keeping an eye on Georgia's running game. They do a really good job in terms of their system and scheme.
For the President of the United States. This has always struck me as really kind of heart-stopping. The very people whose careers, whose fortunes, whose futures are tied up in cable news end up essentially saying it's a waste of time to watch it. It's a waste of time to really learn and